what inspired you to create the series?
I was inspired by the actual magazines of the 1970s that were erotic magazines for women.
Mhm.
Playgirl, Viva, and Foxy Lady were among them. I thought they're very interesting in that they were actually run by feminists and pornographers, which I felt like was a very ripe idea for exploration. And also interesting is that these magazines really tried to deal with issues that we're still dealing with today, from abortion to rape to women in sports to women in the military, sexual harassment at work. And I thought it would be a really interesting way to do a show that was of a period but also felt modern.
Mhm. So how would you best describe your writing style?
Oh my God, I don't know. Like how I create something, or what how it comes out.
How it comes out, and specifically for this show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what I really tried to do in the show was create, I think Minx, the show, is kind of supposed to be like Minx, the magazine,
Mhm.
where it's fun and entertaining. And we kind of sneak in whatever message we want to sneak in, but you don't notice because you're having a good time. So I think, my tendency is always to find the comedy and the heart in something. And so I think that that's really come out in the show. It's kind of it feels like a big idea, but with real people.
Mhm. So, when it came down to like finding the cast members, how was that process? And what do you love most about the cast for the show?
Um, the process was, we were lucky that Ophelia was able to come in and audition in person before the pandemic shut us down. Actually, I think all of our series regulars who we cast through the audition process were people who came in before the pandemic shut us down, which I think goes to show you the value of in-person auditions.
Mhm.
Ophelia is just, she really has, I think, the most difficult role on the show. And she takes the character that could be considered entitled or naive or, self-important. And she has found a way to infuse her with this likability, which I
Mhm.
think is so important. Um, Jake, uh, Jake, we found out his show Stumptown was getting canceled, and we immediately zoomed in the same day with an offer. We were so excited when we found out, because I think Jake has this real affability and presence and emotional honesty that we all thought would be so great for the character.
Mhm. So, can you elaborate a little bit more about other challenges that you've kind of experienced when creating the show?
I think it was a hard sell. I think people really liked the idea, but didn't necessarily want to be, the first network or streamer to engage on this level in full frontal nudity. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was really a concern that a lot of people had. And it made it very challenging to sell the show originally. I think once we were in the HBO Max family, they really shared our vision for the show. And so it became much easier.
Starting with you, Ophelia, what do you love most about your character?
I love that she's kind of a contradiction. I love that she's, you know, makes mistakes and that she's flawed, that she's trying her best. I like that she's not this kind of perfect version of who she wants to be, that she kind of makes comments that can be kind of slightly offensive, but doesn't mean to upset people. Yeah, I think she was really fun to play. And I love how kind of sort of unself-aware she is about things.
So, your character, what do you think that she would teach viewers?
How to tie a pussy bow blouse. She's a real advocate for those.
Uh-huh. You're pretty much playing the boss throughout the season. So what would you say that leadership has taught you playing this role?
Well, I think I taught Doug about leadership. So the one thing I have in common with Doug, and you're the first person in this entire press tour who said it, but I wasn't pretty much playing the boss. I was the boss.
Oh,
Thank you for saying it. Thank you. And if you quote this, I would like you to say you said that quote. Thank you.
Yeah.
But what I liked about playing Doug is he believes in the product and he believes in winning and he doesn't care how he wins.
Mhm.
And I like that he sees her exclusively as an opportunity to take his business to the next level.
Mhm.
And I like somebody who hustles hard, and I like somebody who wants to win, and I like somebody who tries, and that's how I see Doug.
Mhm. So, what would you say was challenging about playing your character, if any?
I think what was challenging about playing Doug is there's times as the series goes on, Doug's a little bit wild as a character, and he sometimes makes moves that might not. Sometimes he's a guy who goes 4 steps backwards in order to go 5 steps forward. And so sometimes taking those steps backwards when Doug's doing a move that I think might not be the smartest move, but it's my job to convey them as honestly as I can. Some of those moves were tricky.
How would you best describe your character and her contribution to the show?
Well, I think Tina is a hustler and she's a hustler first. And so she always looks for the opportunity in situations, and she's all about trying to keep the ship running smoothly no matter what. And sort of the idea of Minx sounds lovely in theory, but she feels like they've created a well-oiled machine that's, you know, their company's thriving, and she's a little scared of the potential impact of a new magazine. And she doesn't see herself as an activist necessarily. She just sees herself as a hardworking woman who found her voice at a company, happened to be a porn company, but she at least has like all the autonomy in the world there, and she gets to be the boss even though she's not the boss, you know. So I think that's who Tina is.
So, other than like, what are some other things that you love about Tina, her character, apart from, you know, the hustling?
Apart from her jewelry, I mean, because her jewelry,
Yeah.
yeah,
Her jewelry.
her jewelry is incredible. Her nails are incredible. Her hair is incredible. Her clothing, everything's incredible. I love that she sees everyone for who they really are. And so she kind of knows when to speak her mind and when not to, and she knows what people need. And she has like tender moments that you wouldn't expect. So I love when the show sort of shows that side of her too. But she notices what's really going on with everyone, and kind of like the way a mama would like let somebody fall on their face if that's what's necessary for them to learn the lesson. She does that. But when she knows she needs to come in and step in and protect the person or take care of them, she does that too. And I love that. I love that side of her as well. And I love that she just does what she wants and she's not too worried. She sees chaos around her, and as long as it's not going to affect things too much, she's like, not my problem. So she knows how to mind her business.
She's like the best mom.
Yeah. She knows how to mind her business. She's like, you know, she's not worried about it. Yeah.
So, Jessica, your character Bambi, she's spunky, she's fun, she's energetic. So tell us more about what you love about playing that character.
I think Bambi is a wild card. I think that she's easily persuaded, hence why she like was in a cult. It becomes more and more clear that she survived a cult. And I think we keep making this joke that, you know, she doesn't really have an actual position at Bottom Dollar. Doug is just finding a place in his heart to like, I'm like an orphan basically. And he's like, I don't know, I guess you could be the centerfold coordinator. I don't know. And then that ends up being like a 1 day a month job. And so I have to find other stuff to do. And I sort of get there by the end of the series, but I think she's just finding her voice, and she's learning so much from Tina and Joyce, and actually Shelley as well. Like she's like realizing that, like Bambi's realizing she wasn't placed on this earth to be like titillating for men. She's like, oh, I have a voice and I should probably learn how to use it.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you hope for Bambi to achieve throughout the season?
I hope she achieves to wear a little bit more clothing. I hope she finds a purpose. truly. I hope that she realizes what she can add. She needs to find out the way she can have like a value for bottom dollar. And I hope she finds love, honestly, because she doesn't necessarily need a man, but she has so much love to give. She needs to find someone.
So what has your character taught you?
Oh my God.
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, Brianna with the question.
I mean, for me, I feel like I have a lot of parallels with Shelley in my life. I mean, I'm a mom of 2. She's a mom of 3. I live pretty close to Pasadena. She lives in Pasadena. I'm not married to a dentist, but an educator. And I feel like that part of your life, so where when you have a child, it's sort of like you become not number 1 anymore, if that makes sense. So you have a child, they become the most important thing in your world, and you kind of take 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place to all of like you're at the bottom of your to-do list. I'm working on this in therapy, okay? And so it's a process of like notching yourself back up to the number 1 slot, you know, and you may never get there, especially for someone like me who identifies as like a caretaker. But I think Shelley also identifies as a caretaker, and she's just much more comfortable taking care of everyone else's needs before her own. And so when she's introduced to this world, like her eyes are kind of wide open. And she also gets a little alone time and time away from the life that's kind of set. So I feel like I'm learning from that, like allowing myself to have that time for myself. Yeah. Oscar.
Yeah, I think the big thing that I learned from Richie is I learned a lot from Richie. I'm just really grateful that I got to play such an interesting and fascinating character. I think the biggest difference between Richie and I is that I'm a little sort of shy. I can be very, I can be really hard on myself. I'm an introvert essentially. And like Richie's so confident and he's so like free with himself, his body, you know what I mean? He's all about like wearing the tightest clothes possible and like celebrating in all the curves and swerves he got on, you know? And I'm like really shy about that. Like, as you know, I like to wear layers. I like to wear oversized stuff. I like to hide my body, and like Richie does not. And I've learned to be more comfortable in my skin, to be a lot more confident in myself and what I can deliver because of Richie. Because the thing is, like, he's doing something really new. You know, he's a photographer for Minx, which the world has given a huge opportunity, and he's embracing that, you know what I mean? And I learned to like take chances as well with like just my confidence all around.